Hey guys, since common sense seems to be discouraged and is lacking in this manifestation community, I wanted to just point something out that I think is easy to forget if you get too far down the rabbit hole with all this stuff. And that is what Neville Goddard calls the law of reversibility. This is a chapter from Prayer, the Art of Believing, which you should read. It's only like 30 pages long. And it's so far, I think it is my favorite Neville Goddard book. I had read it a few years ago, just read it again. And I don't know, the stuff in this book was much more pertinent to where my mind is right now than it was 2 years ago. You should read it. But anyway, basically what he says is that if you observe a phenomenon, a cause and effect, that you can then be sure that the same is true in reverse. So electricity produces friction for a long time. Nobody realized that friction also produces electricity. Stuff like that. And, you know, all of that to say that we've been operating under the assumption that the 3D outer world is what's responsible for our mental state, which it is. I mean, it can be. But also that your mental state can then produce 3D outer circumstances. So we've just been living our lives basing everything on the outer world, our inner state on the outer world, and the reverse is also true. You can change your inner state and change your outer world, which we know is true. But what seems to then get lost is that the first part of that is still true. The 3D world can still influence your mental state, and you can do things in your 3D world to affect your mental state, and they will. For example, if you are in a low sort of place mentally and the place that your living environment is a gigantic mess, you can absolutely muster up the will, which you can do this, I'm telling you, you can. You muster up the will to go into your house and clean it, organize it, rearrange your 3D environment using your will. By doing that, you will change your mental state. This is really simple. It's what's been happening all along. You know, it's how people have, if you didn't know that by purposely changing your mental state, you could then change your 3D reality, this is what you would eventually end up having to do. You would end up having to do something in the 3D and then rely on the results of that thing to produce your mental state, whatever it was. This is how we've all been living forever. The new way of looking at it is, you know, I'm going to simply attempt to change my mental state without changing anything in the 3D and then watch the outer 3D happen effortlessly. The old way still works. You can still do stuff that way. Can and should. There's absolutely no reason not to do things that make you feel happier, feel better, all that stuff. There's no reason not to take actions towards the thing you want. If they're taken from the wrong state of mind, if you take actions that are in conflict with your mental state and your beliefs about that thing, they won't produce anything long-term, anything lasting. But there's been a lot of confusion around action, where people are thinking now you don't do anything. And let's look at the house cleaning example. If you raise your mental state, if you feel happier, better, whatever, you will probably then want to clean up your environment because you'll be in a good mood. Eventually, hopefully, you'll be just like, this place is a disgusting mess, I want to clean it. Like, that would be a natural, probably, outcome of changing your mental state. But if you're kind of stuck there, you can do things in your environment that will shift things. It's what you've been doing all along. And that's still something that you can do. And Neville Goddard doesn't say otherwise. What he does say is that actions, when you shift your state mentally without changing anything in the 3D, when you shift into a different state, the actions that match that state will be automatic because that's the only thing that makes sense. And the actions you're taking right now for you in your current state, you're doing without much effort, probably, most of them. You're just being you. That's basically what it's saying. So anyway, this is just a reminder that to completely shit can everything that you've ever known about how to do anything is not advisable. It defies everything that has to do with common sense, and it's not what Neville Goddard wanted you to do, okay? I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go out on a limb and just say that Neville Goddard would slap a lot of the people I see in this community upside the head and just say, hey, I expected you to use your brain a little bit. I didn't think I'd have to explain every single thing to you. So anyway, I hope that helps somebody. You know, you can change your state by changing your environment. There's lots of stuff you can do to help elevate yourself out of a hole that doesn't involve relying solely on imagination or any of that stuff. So just keep in mind that you've created your whole life up to this point, up to the point that you figured out that your mental state can also produce a 3D outer reality. And to just discard everything that you've ever experienced or known or done is just, you know, I mean, I don't know what to say at this point when I read some of the things online that people just like are willing to blindly adhere to because some person on forum said so, or because they misinterpreted a book. Like, come on, people, got to think for yourself a little bit. Got to think for yourself a little bit. Got to use common sense. I hope that helps somebody. Have a great day.